Hey everybody, Christopher here, and for those of you who are new to my channel, my name is Christopher Cooksey. Some may know me as Christopher Moonlight on the channel. I am a special effects artist, animator, independent film producer, very low budget independent film producer, and I directed The Quantum Terror, which is now on Tubi, and Filmzy, which is an international streaming service. So if you're out of the United States, check it out on there, and coming soon to Amazon Prime. Very proud of that. That was a crowdfunder. And this is a channel update. Maybe I'll turn this into, I don't know, my Indiegogo pitch for my next project, but I'm being a little informal here. I'm thinking of, doing some compositing around me. Maybe it is around me. I don't know. Who knows what I'll decide in editing. But I was trying to record my Indiegogo pitch video, and I was having a lot of trouble because I've got scripted notes in front of me. I'm trying to be genuine. Anyway, I thought maybe it would help me just to do a channel update where I give you the pitch informally instead of trying to, spruce it up and do a bunch of stuff. So I've got my notes in front of me, and before I pitch you the project, which is called Sci-Exploitation, and it's going to be a kind of long-form anthology of different science fiction stories told in kind of a taking things from like the retro rocket aspect of 1960s sci-fi, where it's very colorful, like Forbidden Planet or Green Slime or the Star Trek television series, and mashing it with exploitation films that like Roger Corman would do in the 70s and 80s, like especially the 80s, where it comes to like his Barbarian movies, that kind of Boris Vallejo, Frank Frazetta poster art where it's very sexy and promised a lot of things. And anyway, so the first story for that's going to be called Escape from Planet Omega 12, and it's animated. And if it does well, then there'll be a series of animated movies based on that, along with other stories, because it is an anthology. But not an anthology in the sense that you would get one story and then move on to the next. If something hits with people, then we'll continue that story. It's just you'll get a selection, kind of like what, I don't know, Black Mirror or Love, Death, Robots does, or The Twilight Zone, if you want to go back that far, Outer Limits, that sort of thing. But anyway, I'm starting to pitch it. I don't want to do that. I want to talk about why this is so important to me and why I'm doing this. This isn't just another project for me. This is kind of a call to action, because we have a problem right now in pop culture, especially when it comes to the franchises. Star Trek, Star Wars, Aliens, Terminator, Indiana Jones, Predator, what else? The Marvel Comics movies, even, and most recently, Lord of the Rings. So, I think that problem is a very deep-seated one that we need to do something about. And there are people who are doing critiques on YouTube. I watch these channels all the time or listen to them while I'm working. They're wonderful. Pop Culture Minefield, Comics Matter with your boy Zach, Overlord DVD, Midnight's Edge, Mahler, The Critical Drinker, the list goes on. And I think they're doing good work, whether they're talking about kind of the entertainment industry as a market or the problem with stories themselves. I don't have anything more to add to what they have to say. I think they say it very intelligently and very eloquently. And I feel like if I were to just throw my hat in with them, I would A, be producing inferior work compared to what they're doing, and B, I wouldn't be using what I think is my skill set to really help to remedy the problem. So, but I still wrote down what I think, generally the problem is. So let's talk about this for a second. So my number one, I think I've got like top three reasons, problem with modern entertainment. One is that the stories aren't useful, they're poison. Now, you may say useful, I want stories to be entertaining. Well, there, you can't be interested in a story or be entertained by it if there isn't some kernel of something that's useful in it. The first movie I remember seeing in the theater was Raiders of the Lost Ark. That movie instantly became useful to me as a little kid because I started to understand what it meant to be a hero, what it meant to be courageous, what it meant to endure pain in the pursuit of something that matters. I identified with Indiana Jones, even though I think I was maybe like 4 or 5 years old. I can't quite, maybe 6. Maybe I haven't checked the dates, but absolutely. And there's a difference between stories being useful and being preachy. There's a lot of people that think that a story is there as a platform to express an idea that is how you think the world is. I don't think that's what we should be doing with stories, because if you have a skewed or misguided view of the world, then your movie is, or story, whatever it is, movie, comic book, is going to turn to poison. I think that that's something that a lot of the franchises are suffering from at the moment. So what's number 2? No one is rotating the crops, so the creative landscape is barren. All of the old franchises need to be cycled out, and then an infusion of new material need to be seeded. This goes for filmmaking methods too. So again, I know that the movie studios and the streaming platforms are going to continue these franchises until they are so run dry that nobody, absolutely nobody, and I know there's already a lot of people who don't, but absolutely nobody cares about them anymore. I believe in these franchises. I think they actually can be reinvigorated, but I think at the moment there's just so much bad blood, bad faith, bad feelings going around regarding them that no matter what is created, it's just not going to satisfy what audiences are looking for, because the people in Hollywood are trying to do something different. And there's two camps of that as well, because I've worked in Hollywood. I have a lot of friends in Hollywood that love the work they do. That is really not on them. It's on the fact that they are beholden to, if they want to make a living and then they want to keep their shops open and continue to provide entertainment for all of us, they're beholden to the executives, the people who look at charts and graphs and numbers and aren't willing to take a chance on anything, but they make decisions based on trends. And those trends are not always healthy trends, and we can get stuck with them for ages. So I think the solution, again, is to reinfuse the industry with some new material. I'm not saying completely get rid of what's being done at the moment. That's not going to happen. But they're also not going to take a chance on new stuff. Me and other independent filmmakers, and also the comic book creators that I admire so much, again, Billy Tucci, Ethan Van Sciver, Eric July, Richard Myers. I'm sure there's others I'm not thinking of. Other companies like Frazetta Girls, Sarah Frazetta, and what she's doing with her grandfather Frank Frazetta's work. Different creators, even longtime creators like Roger Corman, who's in his 90s now and still producing movies, or Charles Band, who has his Full Moon features. They are going and doing what they want to do, and because they're working on low budgets and they're not beholden to studios, they're free to try different things. I think we need more of that. I'm not saying that I'm going to be the one who makes the big thing that changes everything, but enough, I don't know, small grains of sand rolling down a hill in a direction may cause an avalanche. So I hope with my thing to be one of those grains of sand, but I think there's a lot of other people doing great stuff, and I want to join in, and I hope that I can encourage all of you to join in supporting us in various ways. But going to the note that I made about filmmaking methods as well, this is going to be part of my pitch with Escape from Planet Omega 12, because I am creating something that you haven't seen. You may have seen it, maybe like bits and pieces of it in different media over the years, and maybe in some commercial work, but not in making a feature film. And I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. So anyway, number 3, in their need for something to be good. Audience has become accustomed to consuming anything. Yeah, this is something that I see a lot. People, they say, like, oh, this doesn't look too good, but I'm gonna give it a chance. Like, no, life is too short. Stop consuming substandard stuff in the hopes that, some of it might give you a little something that you're looking for. And it's like, finding a tiny bit of water in the desert. And then you keep searching for it, but you're still in a desert. Examples of this are like The Mandalorian. In the Star Wars universe, and this is my personal opinion, but in the Star Wars universe, I think The Mandalorian did something really good. The problem is that after ages of us getting really bad product, not art, but product, it kind of, we got an inkling of like, oh, maybe things will turn around. But then it just becomes another way that the studios yank the rug out from under us. We get The Mandalorian season 1 and then season 2, and then we can kind of see things start to degrade, and suddenly we have the Book of Boba Fett and the Obi-Wan series. Sorry, it's not good. And I don't even want to say it's not good. People are, say to me sometimes, well, I enjoyed it. And it's like, yeah, but it feels to me like watching people eat Tide Pods. It's not good for you, and I shouldn't have to tell you it's not good for you, but people are still doing it, and I don't understand why. So anyway, really what it comes down to for me is stories matter. And I wrote here, beauty matters. I see kind of this, a lot of production design and stuff. And I don't think this is entirely the fault of the designers. Again, it's the Hollywood executives and the like wanting to play it safe, restraining their designers, not being willing to put the time and the money into getting things right and making things look really spectacular, because they're more interested in just, continuing to push new content out there to keep their streaming services going. Again, it's a luxury they don't have. I acknowledge that. But as independent filmmakers, it's a luxury that people like I have. And if you look at the franchises that we truly love, again, Terminator, Alien, Star Wars, just a few examples, they had relatively low budgets, and they were greenlit by executives that didn't think they were going to do that well. But yeah, we'll throw some money at them and take a chance and see how it goes. And now they're the most desirable franchises there are. But the thing is that, again, storytelling, this is another note of mine, storytelling is a dialogue, an exchange of ideas to be considered. That's what storytelling really is. And yes, we want it to be entertaining, but we want it to have meaning. And again, I don't mean preaching. If we don't tell new stories, we will lose our agency. And that's really what this is about. I wrote that down. This is a very important thing. If we remain beholden to simply what the studios keep pumping out in the form of whatever it is, with a franchise brand name slapped onto it and similar looking characters that simply remind us of the thing that we had before that we truly loved and truly had meaning for us, then it's like, eating something that has no nutritional value. It may fill your stomach for a little bit, but you as a person, as a soul, will continue to be depleted. And so I am here pitching you, or getting ready to do a pitch video of my project, Escape from Planet Omega 12. And the idea about this is that I'm looking for 1,000 sci-fi fantasy fans that are with me on this, that agree with me and want to see a difference made and want to help me do it. And all I'm asking of you, the 1,000 people, and maybe there's more, and if there are, great, please join me, $25. $25 times 1,000 is 25 grand. I actually have an investor. My producing partner has procured $25,000, so I want to match it to make Escape from Planet Omega 12 for $50,000. And what is Escape from Planet Omega 12? Well, let's check it out. Okay, this is the intro storyboards for Escape from Planet Omega 12. This is just kind of the opening scene. So we start with an alien sky, maybe some sounds of like just the open air, just wind. We see these clouds, but nothing else. And then suddenly alien pops into frame and just kind of strange alien cry. And then it and a few others kind of fly in front of the frame. They dive down. And then we see as the clouds kind of start to part, as they the camera follows them down, that there's an alien landscape. There's a gas giant with a big ring in the sky, and they kind of swoop down lower. Then we've got a reverse angle as they kind of just fly over the camera, and we see that there's other alien creatures on this landscape. We see a couple of moons, and suddenly something bursts through the clouds out of the sky. It's falling fast. It's this crazy escape pod just crashing out of the sky, and it starts to release something out of its their parachutes to break the fall, or to slow it down. And it starts to drift, but it's still moving fast. So the retro boosters come on, and it releases its chute, starts to drift closer towards the camera. We see that it's headed towards this swamp. The retro boosters are kind of like blowing water everywhere. You see it coming down, and there's some sort of giant alien worm in the water. So as it comes down, bonk, it knocks the escape pod on its side. And it just sits there for a while. Everything's quiet now. I mean, the worms are kind of slithering away under the water. We don't know what they are. We just draw ourselves into the escape pod, and suddenly it starts to open up. And we shift in, and we're just looking into the blackness of the escape pod. It just lingers for a moment, and then suddenly, bloop, this little robot comes out, kind of looks around. This is Blip. He's like a little robot assistant, floats in the air. He's checking things out, make sure it's all clear, and suddenly notices that someone's climbing out of the escape pod. It's this woman's arm. She comes climbing out. She's got some blood on her shoulders. She's in her underwear. You can see wherever she was escaping from, it was in a hurry. She didn't have time to get dressed. And she looks out. She's been crying. There's blood on her. We don't know what's happened. The robot's kind of checking her out to see if she's okay. This is her point of view. She just sees the landscape, like, where am I? And then she realizes there's someone hurt in the escape pod. There's a knife sticking out of them. We don't quite see who it is. She kind of comes down to see what she can do. She's upset. She doesn't notice that the water's starting to stir again. Those worms are back. Blip notices, but she's preoccupied, and she's looking to see the silhouette of something looming over her. And suddenly we see the shadow come over her, and she realizes, oh crap, what is it? And she looks, and there's this crazy alien worm creature looking at her, just stares at her for a moment, then it's definitely going to eat her. So she freaks out, and she reaches into the escape pod, and there's a weapon. She grabs onto it, she turns and cuts it right in half. And what happens next? We will get to that point. So that is the brief opening scene of Escape from Planet Omega 12, story of Tara. She's going to be marooned on this planet, and she's going to be spending a lot of time here learning to survive and encountering a lot of bizarre stuff. So that's what I got for the moment, and lots more to show from here. So it's the story of Tara, who is the wife of a privateer exploration ship captain. They have discovered an alien planet that is the first in all of the universe to be found harboring true alien life. They're orbiting it. They're orbiting it in the hopes of exploring it and becoming essentially heroes with this great discovery, when an event takes place and the entire crew is murdered. except for Tara and her husband. Her husband is severely injured, and so Tara drags him into an escape pod, and they crash land down onto the planet. All the different escape pods have been ejected and have landed all over the planet in different places, but they're all empty because everyone's been murdered. Once she's on there, she finds that she has to survive. She just has the help of a little robot and a little alien creature that's an inhabitant of the planet, and then another creature that has fused with the corpse of her husband and has taken on his memories and wants to help her to survive. It's in the tradition of old stories like A Princess of Mars, and kind of in the action-adventure style of new stuff like Samurai Jack, which is a favorite animated cartoon of mine. Lots of action, strange creatures, aliens, robots, violence, sexiness. It's going to be really cool. I threw down my notes, so I'm gonna pick this up and kind of and say what's influencing me here. So what is it going to be that makes it so different? Well, the story premise is kind of an old one. It's kind of along the lines of maybe like Robinson Crusoe on Mars, where there's a character who's maroon. But I'm going to be using all of my talents as a special effects artist and bringing them to bear on a combination of miniatures, puppets, and 3D animated work, as well as hand-drawn animation elements. So imagine, if you will, the old Fleischer Popeye cartoons where you had an animated Popeye, but the backgrounds were miniatures. Again, I mentioned Samurai Jack, or maybe more recently, Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal is a big influence in terms of action and brutality. I'm also going to be bringing in a lot of puppets. So there's going to be elements of this that call back to one of my favorite movies and what I thought was a very impressive television series for one season on Netflix, The Dark Crystal. Dark Crystal had a lot of cool stuff. The only problem was it was too expensive to make. I found my low-budget ways of creating puppets that can integrate with the rest of these environments. Again, I mentioned things like Frazetta, Frank Frazetta's style, like the animated Fire and Ice, or his pulp novel comics, or his pulp novel covers and comic work, really kind of bring to bear that influence on there. And then again, classic sci-fi, Forbidden Planet, Green Slime, Robinson Crusoe on Mars, even Barbarella, even though I was disappointed in Barbarella. It could have been a lot better. But, the idea of a sexy sci-fi movie is something that I could really get on board with. I just felt like the execution on there was, well, it was terrible. Okay? It was terrible. But other stuff like Roger Corman's Battle Beyond the Stars and Galaxy of Terror, or even elements of his Barbarian movies like The Warrior and the Sorceress, or Sorceresses, or what was the other one? Something to do with a sorceress. I don't know. And that's it. That's the pitch. Again, this is kind of the preliminary pitch video. This is more geared towards you, my YouTube subscribers, and hopefully my Substack subscribers as well. I'm going to keep working on this video, and maybe I'll do it narration, but I really wanted to do something that showed what it is I'm capable of doing, what I've done in the past. I didn't talk about that in my work with Bill Oberst Jr. on Ray Bradbury Live Forever, Brimstone Saint, some of my commercial and music video work. Of course, The Quantum Terror. Again, if you haven't seen The Quantum Terror, it's on Tubi right now, and it's also on Filmzy. If you're watching this and it happens to be on Amazon Prime, watch it on there as well. It's doing really well, and it was, a movie that I shot on a very low budget with very low-end equipment, but I did my best with it. Now I have higher-end equipment, and I'm going to get more. With this funding, by the way, what am I going to be doing with the funding? Should be talking about that too. So it's an upgrade. It's going to do things like maintain this space, make sure that I can work on this full-time while procuring equipment like motion control rigs, various programs that will make things easier for me to animate, to motion track. To hire people, we're hiring animators. We're going to be hiring special effects artists, puppeteers, and the more we get, the more we can do. I have created this story around a certain amount of limitations that I have working in this space and working with the materials and the people that I have. But the more I raise, the more people and the more I can bring in. I can bring in more animators. I can bring in more effects artists. I can bring in people like dancers that can act out some of the scenes like they did with Fire and Ice and Rotoscope and create some really great movement. I can hire more voiceover artists to also do the characters in different languages. I would love to do Spanish language or Japanese or Brazilian Portuguese, French, Korean, whatever it is that gets this story out here more. And the fortunate thing about animation is that you can do that. It's not like with actors where you do a cheesy dub or, you have even more expensive, hire new actors to come in and shoot it in different languages. So the more that I bring in money-wise, the more I am able to do. Oh, and rewards. I forgot to tell you, what do you get for your $25? Well, I'm only doing one reward. And the reason for that is that I really want to focus on making the best possible animated movie I can. Escape from Planet Omega 12 is... it's very sexy. Again, if you read A Princess of Mars, nobody wears clothes on Mars, so everybody's naked. I can't get away with that for video on demand, and that's where we're going to be taking Escape from Planet Omega 12 to all the video on demand companies. She is going to be scantily clad in that version, but we are going to do a version where she doesn't have any clothes on at all. So it's going to be the TV-14 or PG-13 version. And then we are going to have the TVMA or R-rated version. I don't know what qualifies NC-17. We might be pushing that, but we're not doing anything like hardcore or graphic in that sense. It's going to be a work of art. This is a very beautiful woman, and we're going to present her kind of in the same way that classic paintings would present nude women. But she is going to be marooned nude on this planet for that version. That's the version I'm offering you. You will get a download of the unrated version that you won't get on video on demand. And maybe later on we'll do different things, but like DVDs or something like that. But for the moment, it'll be a digital download because, again, I want to focus on really making the best possible movie and doing something that, again, Hollywood would never dare. They never dare have a nude woman marooned on a planet. They'd never dare have someone like me making miniatures and puppets and blending it with 3D animation and hand-drawn animation. And this is going to be an R&D film. There's going to be a lot of development, and you will also have access to, matter of fact, everybody's going to have access to. I'm not going to make it an exclusive because I want people to see what we're doing. But I will be releasing throughout tests behind the scenes, things that show that there's R&D going on. I don't know exactly what this movie is going to look like when it's done. I have a very strong idea because of stuff I've done before, but I'm not just asking you to help me make a movie. I'm asking you to help me develop something new and beautiful that nobody has ever seen before, telling a story that nothing in Hollywood or anybody in Hollywood would ever dare try. So if you want to join me for that, if you want to take a chance with $25 on that, I think it's worth it. And honestly, I'm taking a huge risk, personal risk, and financial risk, believing in this. But I think it's going to pay off. So if you believe in something like this and you want to see things like this infused into our pop culture field, then please give it a go. Give me $25, and along with everyone else's $25, I will do everything I can to make it happen. And if you don't have $25, but you want to see where this goes, subscribe to this YouTube channel, or if you're watching this on Minds, which I'm very active on minds.com, follow me there. Please subscribe to my Substack where you'll get updates, and share this. This is a big deal. I do get throttled. I don't know if it's shadow banning or algorithms or what, but I have lots of followers, and maybe like 10 out of 1,700 will see what I've done according to my charts. I don't know what that is, why that is, but the more you share, the more you retweet or remine or share on Facebook or any of your social media, or just leave comments and likes, that helps me a lot. So that's it. That's the pitch. And now maybe I'll go work on an actual pitch video with a bunch of cool stuff. So thanks for watching, and yeah, also keep it shorter for the actual pitch so people don't tune out. What am I at the moment? Oh, 28 minutes, give or take. It's not bad. No, it's terrible. We'll do better. Thanks, everyone.